Once upon a time, in a modern-day, highly stressed city, there lived a young woman named Debbie. Debbie was known for her restless spirit and her constant need to control every aspect of her life. For example, she wanted to move to a new place, since she could no longer tolerate the sounds, the noise, the busyness of the city. Having done well in her business as an interior designer, she felt all she needed to do was select a location to build, and that was that. She would soon be living where she wanted. However, it seems things didn't work out quite so simply for her. Debbie found out the location she selected wasn't suitable for the home she really wanted to build. But that wasn't acceptable. Not to Debbie. She had to have that property. She had to. Why, you ask? Because she chose it and wouldn't accept no for an answer. Over the months this was all playing out, her upset began to creep into her business. Her clients didn't seem quite so pleased with her design mock-ups. Her demeanor wasn't as pleasant as it once was. She needed things to be a certain way when doing her sessions with clients. And even though she came highly recommended, Debbie just wasn't delivering the same caliber of service that brought her the success she had been enjoying in the first place. It seemed her inability to successfully navigate the land and home purchase she wanted had an unintended effect on other aspects of her life. But she wasn't ready to let it go. She was in it to win this battle over details that kept her from getting the property. One day, while shopping at the market, she stumbled upon an old man. As she observed him from a near distance, he had this vibe about him. He seemed like a sage to her. She had no idea why, but there was one obvious way he stood out to her. He carried a calm and peaceful manner among the hurried shoppers. She left her curiosity behind and continued with her errand. However, after finishing her shopping, she saw him seated at a table nearby in a lovely garden setting, and could not resist the urge to come closer and say hi. He looked up with his kind, weathered face, his eyes gleaming from the light behind her, and finished peeling out pieces of orange to snack on when he invited her to join him. After introducing one another, she confessed she was curious about him because everything around them was so hectic, and she couldn't help but notice he seemed to be quite unaffected by it all. And that is when she opened the door for him to share his simple wisdom. The old man spoke with Debbie of the importance of letting go of life having to be a particular way, allowing for what is to be by simply being in acceptance of it. As a result, a person's life, her life, would soon begin to flow. Debbie, being quite blunt, blurted out, "Sure, easy for you to say." He smiled for a moment, and could see she was quite conflicted, yet still quite concerned and interested. He asked Debbie, "What are you not getting out of life?" At this, she scoffed and started ranting about her land and home purchase, her clients, her dissatisfaction with everything. "And does it have to be that land? That home?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "I see," said the old man. "And if you don't get it?" "There's no way. I'm not going to let this application for this to be denied." "But you have no control over whether your application is approved. Not if you presented all that they requested. Did you?" "Absolutely," she nearly shouted. Well, it didn't take a wise sage to see she was quite agitated. This woman who seemed to be quite serious and committed to getting what she worked hard for. After all, who wouldn't have expectations for obtaining what they want once they attain all the necessary things in order to do so. After taking a long, slow, deep breath, he explained that by releasing the need to have that property, by releasing the idea that she can control everything in order to obtain what she wanted, Debbie could release any anxiety she may have been experiencing and possibly end up with something even better. Perhaps a place that exceeded her wildest expectations. "You just don't understand," she said. "Oh, my dear, I'm afraid I do. You see, when I was younger, perhaps close to your age, I ran a successful business. Life was good. If there was something I wanted, I got it. I wouldn't let anything stand in my way. Sadly, that's also how I lost my closest relationships, by insisting I get what I wanted. It caused unrest within me. And you can imagine how it trickled into other parts of my life, even my business." Well, this was remarkably close to what Debbie felt she was experiencing. As she sat back in the chair and pondered on what he just said to her, he began eating one of the orange slices and motioned in offer for her to have one. But she didn't take notice. As he wiped his mouth with a napkin, she leaned in with a curious but doubtful tone and said, "That's it? That's all I need to do? Let life be as it is? Let go of it having to be a particular way? Allow for what is to be? And simply be in acceptance of it?" And with a second thought, after all she had pondered, she said, "Well, to be honest, I'm not sure I can do that." And the old man replied, "First of all, Debbie, it's easier said than done. But the journey, and make no mistake about it, it is a journey, not an event. The journey will unfold new and rewarding experiences for you, some you may never have considered possible for yourself." She said. "A journey. I prefer this idea to be an event." The old man laughed softly. Debbie continued, "I can just say, I accept everything as it is, and poof, life suddenly gets to be how I want it to be." And the old man replied, "In a sense, Debbie, you get what life brings to you. And if you are in acceptance of it, your life becomes a bit easier to navigate because of that acceptance." And she thought about the time she lost a gold necklace she loved. Months went by, where she looked high and low in search of it, whenever the thought of it popped into her head, until one day, when it popped up in her thoughts, she finally relented and accepted that it was lost forever, and that it was okay. She let it go. Until one day, reaching into a purse she had used numerous times since, she found her necklace. She was beside herself with happiness, utterly amazed, wondering, how did this get in here? She remembered how torn she was when she lost it, how she looked everywhere for it. And now she was handling it with her fingers as she spoke with this old man, as it hung from around her neck. He allowed for a bit of silence between them as she looked inward wistfully. She almost became tearful. And when she seemed to come back into the conversation, they both breathed a sigh, as if in perfect timing. Her brief encounter with the kind old man left her intrigued by his words. And that day, Debbie decided to embark on that journey, to not only discover the true meaning of going with the flow, but also to reap the rewards of it. As she delved deeper into her self-care and growth, she learned and began to practice visualization. By harnessing the power of her own imagination and using simple visualization techniques, she was able to shift from a lower frame of mind to elevated thoughts and feelings. And as we all know, the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want or even need. It responds to your vibrational frequency, that energy you carry around with you from day to day. With each day of practice, Debbie unlocked more of her innate potential to allow all to be as it is, and ultimately elevated her mindset to a place not only of positivity, but also of love. She remembered quite well that the old man also spoke of light and love as being interchangeable and powerful energies. He emphasized the significance of allowing these energies to flow effortlessly within her. Debbie came to realize that by coming to accept her true nature as light, as love, she also didn't have to be seen in a particular way by the world at large. And this had a positive influence on her, and even others who engaged her as well. As she embraced the understanding of letting go and allowing the flow of love and light to emanate naturally, Debbie began to trust in the divine timing of the universe. She tapped into her true essence and, without making a particular effort, began contributing positively to the world around her, spreading kindness wherever she was, simply by being who she was. Her clients commented about how happy they felt after their design reviews, how she helped put them at ease, making changes to their homes. Throughout this journey, real-world tests came to pass. Debbie did not get awarded the deed for the land she had once expected. That previous version of Debbie would have been devastated. Yet the now newly awakened Debbie accepted it in stride. As a result, she not only continued her search for new land, but came upon a property that made her almost tear up, knowing this was what had been waiting for her. And if she had been successful in obtaining that first piece of land, she would have missed out on this parcel with fertile soil for a garden, a forest very nearby with walking trails, not to mention the forest creatures she remembered seeing in her childhood. Months passed. After settling down in her newly built home, which she oversaw, she now enjoyed the quieter environment, built a studio on her property for her business, enjoyed riding into the nearby town on her bicycle with baskets for groceries and things for her home. As it happened, on one of her trips to the market there, she unexpectedly met someone who would ultimately become her partner in life. After coming to know one another better, he invited her to a family gathering. When they arrived, his family was outdoors, in back, visible as they came up the winding drive. He introduced her to his mother and father, younger sister, and brother. They were so warm and welcoming. She felt quite at home there. But Debbie had no idea she was in for the shock of her life, one she couldn't possibly be prepared for, one she wouldn't believe if someone had told her it would happen. As her partner's mother was walking Debbie through her home, she also showed her photos on the wall, and it was one photo that stopped Debbie in her tracks. "Who is this?" she asked excitedly. Her partner's mother paused for a moment and said quietly, "That's my father. He passed away just a few weeks ago." Debbie was beside herself in disbelief. The mother said, "Are you okay?" As Debbie had tears streaming from her eyes, she continually wiped them, as she had difficulty telling her mother that she knew him, she met him, and she never got the chance to thank him for the influence he had on the changes in her life. Now nearly sobbing in disbelief, Debbie did her best to compose herself as her partner's mother cried. The rest of the family came in wondering what in the world happened. After they managed to compose themselves, Debbie began telling her partner, as well as his family, about this chance encounter she had with a kind old man who influenced her journey from where she was to where she is now. The wonderful old man whose photo hangs on the wall of their home. Thanks to him, she said, I'm now able to know what life can be like after embracing his simple wisdom.